Hey, I want to tell you about my experience of reading the Bible cover to cover in 7 weeks. This was something that I did uh, about 8 years ago, and what had happened is that I didn't believe that I could get into heaven because of who I was and how I'd lived my life. I traveled past my church that I attend today um, multiple times over a period of probably 10 years or more, and I knew it was a strict Bible-based conservative church, and I thought they would never accept me. I just didn't think so, but I had always believed in God all my life, and I was always afraid that the moment that I wouldn't believe in God is the moment that something would happen and I'd be like, wouldn't have any chance at all. So I I had hope, but um, I just didn't think I would get there. And so when I exhausted all of the resources for explaining why my life was the way it was, I took on an opportunity that was given to me when a friend of mine called me up on a Sunday morning and she said, "Do you want to do something?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "What's up?" And she said, "I'll pick you up in 5 minutes." And we drove out to my church. It wasn't my church at the time. We walked in to the third service on Sunday. I sat down and I listened to Pastor John give a sermon, and it was an incredible sermon that I was able to attend. Uh, it was it was just a wonderful experience, and I knew something was happening at that point, and so as we got up at the end of the service, she handed me a Bible, an NLT Bible, and she gave it to me, and I walked out, and I went home, and I thought, you know what? I've looked at all the resources trying to explain why my life was the way it was, and I hadn't read the Bible. And I thought, why not take that on? Why don't I read the Bible? And so I read cover to cover in 7 weeks. I started reading that day, and it was the end of October, and before Thanksgiving, I had read the entire Bible. Now, there have been times where I've had people quote the Bible or use the Bible, use scripture to um, say something about my actions, or and I've seen it with other people. I think everybody has experienced that. And while reading the Bible cover to cover didn't give me the opportunity to actually learn scripture and that I can actually just go out and quote scripture, what it did is it put everything into context. So when I started attending church and I'd hear the sermons, I knew what the pastor was talking about. I was in tune, and I knew what book he was in all the way through. And so that was a rewarding experience. But reading the Bible over the 7 weeks was a very tough experience for me. Keep in mind that like I said before, I thought that I wasn't going to get into heaven, and just by reading the Bible, I that didn't help either up until a certain point. So as I read through the Old Testament, my fears were somewhat validated, because I'm thinking I'm this bad person that is in the Old Testament in so many ways. The way I've lived my life, and man, this is not good. It was when I started reading, everybody had their own idea on what I should read. Some people wanted me to read Paul's letters. Some people said start in the New Testament. Some people said read Psalms. But I didn't want to do that because I was looking for specific things in the Bible. Specifically, I wanted to find out what the Bible said about gender issues. And so I'm looking for it. And when I determined that I was going to actually read the entire Bible, I had to read every word so that I knew if it was there. And reading through when I got through it, I still wasn't all the way there. I still didn't have that foundation, but I had something else that I wasn't expecting. And so as that process happened, I had a friend who he had read the Bible many times, had a Christian company, and he was extremely well versed. So as I was reading, I would call him throughout the day, and we would have these discussions about where I was at and what it meant in the Bible. But it was extremely frustrating to do that. And I just focused for 7 weeks on reading through. So I get to Romans 8 and I realize there's no condemnation. And that was the first point where I'm like, okay, there's some hope for me. There's a possibility that I'm going to be accepted and that Christ is going to accept me. And the other thing is that I didn't understand the Trinity. I didn't understand that I really, even though I thought I was Christian, I didn't understand Christianity as I now know it today. And I'm still learning, so don't get me wrong. I don't think like I know everything about Christianity, but I do know where I am in my faith, and I feel very comfortable in that, and I feel very blessed to be here right now. So the part where it's really tough is I'm reading this through and I'm like, this just doesn't bode well. This doesn't turn out well for me at the end. But I kept on trying, and so then I get all the way through the Bible, and at the end I'm like, okay, I'm going to read something else, because I'm like, okay, I read in the NLT Bible there, I think there's like 1,250, right around 1,250 pages in the NLT Bible, or in this Bible. And I thought, okay, is that all there is? And I think that when they quote scripture, when people know, when they read the Bible, that is all there is for many people, and they don't really go down deep into, okay, it's much more than just the story that's there. There's deep meaning into it, and you dive into it. I mean, you can read a few lines of scripture and you can sit there and talk about those few lines for weeks and months and so on, and you continue to have expanded meaning on what's behind it. And then, man, I wish I when I was younger would have started in the Bible and had the enthusiasm for my relationship with Christ as I do today, because I would dedicate my life to reading and learning the Bible, and to serving, because I just get so much joy out of it. But I'm in my later 50s, coming into it right now, and and I'm in the learning phase of the Bible, and so that that doesn't mean that I can't learn, because I can keep on opening up the Bible like I have since that time, and keep on reading and keep on developing. But the good news is that I do have a personal relationship with Christ because of the Bible, and I realize that the thought that I had when I got through the books, is that no, there's so much more, and you have to keep on digging down into it, and you keep on learning, and I'm learning all the time from it. And what I also did early on, I would say for probably the first 3 or 4 years, is during that time I read through Job. I really connected with the story of Job, or the book of Job, and I read that 31 times, and I'm still learning what the book has in there. I'm still discovering things literally after reading it 31 times. Now, I joke that Job and I had a breakup, and I'm not going to read Job again, and I don't plan on reading Job completely again. I'm done doing that. But later on, I was talking to my pastor. This was January of 2022. And I said, I'm kind of plateauing right now. And he said, why don't you go and read a gospel a day for an entire month? And I thought about it. I thought, well, why not? He said, everything you need to know that in the Bible, everything that you need to know is there in the Gospels. So I didn't jump right into it. Kind of forgot about it, kind of let it go. In that year, I spent a lot of time out walking. So I was walking up to 5 miles a day. And I thought, well, I'm going to get my Bible app out, and I'm going to start reading the Gospels while I'm walking. So I'm standing out, and I'm holding my phone out as I walk with the Bible app open. And I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So as I'm reading, the first time through, I think I walked like 3 miles, and you can't read Matthew in 3 miles. And so I got through, I think, like half of it. And walks over the next few days continued. So I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in order, but I didn't read a gospel a day. So that's my first time through. Then I thought, you know what? I need to read a gospel a day. So then I started walking longer, and so I would take up to like 2.5 hours to 3 hours, and for Matthew and Luke and Mark and John, I could get done in less time because they're smaller books. And so for every day, for 32 days straight, I read a gospel a day. So I read a gospel a day 8 times through, and I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John 9 times through, if you count the days that I read in the book through, but didn't read a gospel a day for the first time. So 8 times doing a gospel a day while walking, holding my phone up with the Bible app on it. And I even did it at night in pitch black, walking on sidewalks they had grass growing in between each block, that literally, if I would have hit it just right, I would have stumbled it, and it would have been really easy to hit those spots on the sidewalks that we're walking on. And I never stumbled. It was like the coolest thing. I had the perfect stride, and I just trusted, and I just rolled through. And so it was a wonderful experience. Now, that was much different than reading the Bible cover to cover. And my life changed so much after reading the Gospel a Day for 32 days. As a matter of fact, I'd like to do it again, because we're going to be coming up 2 years since I've done it. And I learned so much in that time from the Gospels that when I go back to it, when we talk about Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there are still things that I learned that I didn't catch in the times of reading it 8 times through them. So that was an awesome experience that came off of reading cover to cover in 7 weeks. And so I'll go back to my experience in reading cover to cover, and that is that I just remember as I was reading through, I was petrified of, that how harsh the Old Testament could be, and I wasn't seeing all the good things that are in there. I was just worried about myself, and by the time I got through the end of it, I got to the point where I had hope, and I was able to continue on and grow in my walk, and that was such an accomplishment. And quite frankly, I thought most Christians, practically everybody that was Christian and was serious about their faith and going to church, I thought everybody read the Bible cover to cover. I was surprised when I found out that actually very few people have read the Bible cover to cover. I even found some pastors that had never read the Bible cover to cover. And I'm amazed at that would happen. It's surprising to me, because if you're now, I don't think there's any pastors at my church that would fall in that case, because they're very well versed in the Bible, but I don't know, And I realized too that if you read the Bible cover to cover in 7 weeks, that you're moving right through. So it's not like that you're going to really learn what the Bible is saying, but you're going to get an understanding of the story and where things are in the Bible. And so if you go in and you listen to sermons, you're going to be like, I connect with that. I know where that's at. And then you can go back and you can look, and it will help you to dig in and go deeper into your understanding of what you're hearing in a sermon, or in, let's say you're in a Bible study in a group. It will just help you, because you can put things into place and you can relate things, and that this was here, and maybe this part comes here. So it's just so valuable. And I think it'd be great if I actually decided to read it again cover to cover. But it's a monumental task for me to do that, to sit down and read that hard for that long. So, and I know other people have tried to do it that have they were inspired by me doing it. They thought, well, I'm going to sit down and do it, and and they get so far and then they let it go. So I don't know. The other thing is that I have so many things going on right now. I have more on my plate than I can get done, and I need to get other people in helping me with the things that I have going on, so I can get things out of the way, and I can really focus in on the YouTube channel, which is what I'm planning to do, is to stay focused here. And so the thought of reading the Bible cover to cover probably doesn't fit for me in the next year to do it again. But maybe in the future, and maybe, what would be cool is to do live videos, live updates every day, covering as I read through. But I just can't do that right now. But I do like talking about it, and I hope it'll inspire somebody to do the same. I'm so thankful that I did it. I'm glad that I didn't read Paul's letters first. I'm glad that I didn't read the New Testament first. I'm glad that I started in Genesis and read to Revelations, read the whole thing. But keep in mind that just because I did it that way doesn't mean that you should do it that way. I think that, you need to do what's right for you. And this is just an option. And I know not many people do it, but I would highly recommend it. So, anyways, that's my experience reading the Bible cover to cover. And I know that if I were to do it today, that it would be, I wouldn't have that stress and that struggle that I went through before, and that would be nice, because I know my relationship with Christ, and I know I'm saved. I know where I stand. I know where my shortcomings are, and so I bet you it would be more enjoyable today, and I probably learn a lot, and it would help so much again, as I listen to sermons and as I'm in my Bible studies, in my life groups. I have 2 life groups that I'm involved in, and then on Sundays it would be great, and then actually 3 life groups, I should say, but considering that the recovery transformation group that I am a part of leading, that group is also a life group. So I think it would be great to do that. So anyways, that's what I've got for right now. And write in the comments if you know what. Are you gonna take up the opportunity to read cover to cover, or what do you think? Do you think people should read Paul's letters first? Do you think they should read the New Testament first? What, or even just read the Gospels? What do you think would be the right thing? And if you're a Christian, if you're a pastor, or if you're whoever, let's say you've never read the Bible before, what do you want to get out of it, or do you want to get anything out of it? Just let me know. And have a blessed day. I'll see you on the next video.